Chapter 9. Remembering Jackie. Jackie had to start her life again. She was back in New York City. Her children were now teenagers and didn't need her as much as they had when they were younger. One day, a friend suggested that Jackie find a job. At first, Jackie wasn't sure. She hadn't had a paying job in so many years. But then she was offered a job as a book editor at Viking Press. Jackie loved books. She said yes. Jackie was a good editor. She worked hard and stayed at Viking for about 2 years, working on books about history and art, two subjects that she loved. Jackie's next job was with Doubleday Publishers. She stayed there for 17 years. She made her own calls and typed her own letters rather than using a secretary. She attended office parties and was well liked and respected by her coworkers, and she edited many best-selling books, including Blood Memory by the famous dancer Martha Graham, Fireworks, A History and Celebration by George Plimpton, and Moonwalk by Michael Jackson. Jackie also had a passion for architecture. She said, "We are the only country in the world that trashes its old buildings. Too late we realize how very much we need them." Jackie tried to protect some of America's most beautiful buildings from destruction. She wrote petitions, staged protests, and helped raise money, all in the name of preserving history. Jackie also tried to keep Jack's memory alive in any way she could. She helped create the John F. Kennedy Library and Museum, which opened in 1979 in Boston. Grand Central Terminal. When this train station in New York City opened in 1871, it was filled with bronze and stone carvings, marble halls, and majestic stone archways. In 1967, Grand Central received landmark status, which meant that the building had special historical value to New York City and could not be torn down or altered. But by this time, the station had fallen on hard times. The place was dangerous and depressing. Its once beautiful ceiling was now covered with soot. The roof leaked. The windows were painted black. Then a builder proposed to erect a 55-story tower on top of the terminal. Many, including Jackie Kennedy, were opposed to this. In 1975, Jackie Kennedy helped form the committee to save Grand Central. The committee's efforts worked, saving and restoring this beautiful historic building. In her personal life, Jackie began dating businessman Maurice Tempelsman. Like Jackie, he was also a private person. He understood Jackie and offered her stability and love. Yet the two never married because although separated from his wife, Maurice was not divorced. In December 1993, Maurice and Jackie traveled to the Caribbean for a vacation. Jackie fell ill and they returned home. 2 months later, a devastating announcement came. Jackie had cancer. Determined to fight the disease, Jackie remained hopeful and cheerful even through painful treatments. And as her condition grew worse, she continued to work. But soon, there was nothing more her doctors could do. Jackie was dying. Jackie took to her bed in her apartment on Fifth Avenue in New York City, surrounded by friends and family. Outside her building, hordes of reporters gathered. Hundreds of well-wishers also stood there and prayed. At 10:15 p.m. on Thursday, May 19, 1994, Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy Onassis died. "My mother died surrounded by her friends and her family and her books and the people and things that she loved. She did it in her own way and on her own terms, and we all feel lucky for that," John Jr. said. Jackie's funeral and burial were simple. A service was held at the same church in New York City where she was christened as a baby. Then her body was flown to Washington, D.C. to be laid to rest at Arlington National Cemetery next to President Kennedy. Jackie Kennedy will be remembered as a woman who always treated people with respect, a woman who valued culture, art, and the beautiful things life has to offer. Family was most important to her, and she cared for and loved her children and grandchildren up until the day she died. Even after her death, Jackie received many honors. A high school in New York City was named the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis High School for International Careers. The reservoir in New York's Central Park also was renamed in her honor. Caroline Kennedy. Growing up in the White House, Caroline was the darling of the media. The press loved to snap pictures of her playing outside or riding her pony. After her father's assassination, Caroline attended private school in New York City and then Radcliffe College. She thought about becoming a photojournalist, but then decided to go to law school at Columbia University. On July 19, 1986, Caroline married Edwin Schlossberg. Like her mother, Caroline wanted her wedding to be a private affair, but it wasn't. A huge crowd stood outside the church on Cape Cod where the couple wed. Caroline and Edwin have 3 children, Rose, Tatiana, and John. Caroline practiced law, worked with many charities as well as the New York City Department of Education, and also became an author. One of the books she helped create was the best-loved poems of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. In 2013, President Barack Obama named Caroline the U.S. Ambassador to Japan. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Jr. Like his sister, John grew up in the eye of the media. He attended Brown University, where he became interested in many issues, such as gun control and civil rights. After graduation, John worked at various New York City government jobs. Then he got a law degree from New York University. In 1995, John co-founded George Magazine, which focused on everything from politics to fashion. Tall and handsome, John was often in the headlines, dating model Cindy Crawford and actresses Sarah Jessica Parker and Daryl Hannah. John finally settled down and married Carolyn Bessette at a private ceremony on Cumberland Island, Georgia, on September 21, 1996. On July 16, 1999, John piloted a plane carrying Carolyn and her sister Lauren to a family wedding on Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. Tragically, the plane crashed, killing all 3. With her grace, charm, talent, and intelligence, Jackie Kennedy captivated the world, and the world will always remember her.